The U.S. seems to have lost its mind with the atrocious way it has been treating Israel this last week. The U.S. ambassador to Israel, Thomas Nides, has gone so far as to threaten the finance minister of Israel. Let's just say that the Biden administration has been blasting its ally Israel for fighting terror, while at the same time refusing to call on the Palestinian leadership to condemn and put a stop to that same terror. I'm Josiah, and this is the Israel Guys. Welcome to the Israel Guys, where we believe that in a world of Jew hatred and anti-Israel propaganda, you should have a direct connection to the land and people of Israel. Welcome back to the show, guys. First off, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and share our content all over social media, all the videos you can. Comment down below to help us out in the YouTube algorithm. We really appreciate it. Guys, we are going to talk about the U.S. administration's shameful treatment of Israel this last week, in response to and in regards to the terror attacks that were happening, in regards to all the media coverage and all the condemnations for the quote-unquote settler violence, for the riot that happened down in the Palestinian town of Hawara. I'm going to talk about all that. But starting off, this is kind of crazy because Israel is the U.S.'s ally, right? It's an ally of the United States. The Palestinian Authority, they're not their own country. They're not their own entity per se, or the Palestinian people are not. They have their own government, you could say, the Palestinian Authority, but not necessarily an ally of the United States. Definitely do not stand for the same values, and definitely want to eventually, part of the jihad goal is to wipe out Christians, wipe out Jews, wipe out America and Israel. It's all part of the jihad plan. So, a U.S. official was quoted this last week on Channel 12 News saying that the Biden administration is considering preventing Bezalel Smotrich, who is the finance minister of Israel, from entering the U.S., talking about not granting him a visa to come to the U.S. because of Smotrich's statements last week. Smotrich, after the two brothers were killed in the horrific, brutal attack in Hawara, Smotrich made a statement saying that Israel needs to wipe out the town of Hawara. Now, we're going to talk about what he meant by that here in just a second. But the finance minister, Bezalel Smotrich, who is part of the religious Zionism party, a right-wing party, conservative party in Israel's Knesset, is scheduled to visit the U.S. this week to take part in an Israel bonds conference. So this same official said that because of this statement that Smotrich made, he's now considered in Washington a persona non grata, unwelcome, not welcome by anybody in Washington, and that no U.S. officials, nobody from the Biden administration, nobody in government there will agree to meet with Smotrich now. So they're blasting Smotrich, blasting Israel, particularly Smotrich, but also called on Netanyahu to condemn this as well because of this statement. So last week, you already heard about it. The two brothers, Hillel and Yagel Yaniv from the city of Har Bracha, the Jewish town of Har Bracha, were brutally killed in a assassination-like terror attack in the city of Hawara. So Smotrich, I think he liked to tweet. Somebody called on Hawara to be erased, the town of Hawara to be erased, and Smotrich liked it. Somebody else asked him about that, and he said something to the effect that Hawara needs to be wiped out by Israel. So Smotrich, you got to realize here that's when he said that, Smotrich is not inciting violence here. This is not what it sounds like. And yes, I do agree that it was the wrong choice of words. And even Smotrich says that. We'll talk about that in a second. Wrong choice of words. The way he put that could be interpreted a different way. But I immediately knew what Smotrich was talking about because I know Smotrich. I've met him personally, but I've studied his policies, studied him as a person. He's a religious Jew living here in the land of Israel, and he works in the government. In the Knesset, he has very good policies. You know from who he is and who he is as a politician, who he is as a person, that making a statement like this, he's not calling for genocide. He's not calling for pogroms. He's not calling for violence against Palestinians. So I immediately knew what he's saying, but Smotrich later realized as well that people were misinterpreting what he said and that he could have used a better choice of words when he made his comments. And he clarified his statement just the other day. He said, It wasn't the correct word. I misspoke. The statement was made in the heat of emotions. I am discomfited by the need to clarify and that there are those who think that I support harming innocent civilians, end quote. So Smotrich himself is saying he in no way supports harming innocent civilians. And when he said wipe out the city of Hawara, he didn't mean go through and kill everybody in the town and burn it down like that. He's saying this is a terror hotbed right now. This is where all these attacks are happening. It's not safe for Jews to travel through this town. So we, as a nation, as the government, and certainly he's not saying that people need to go out and take the law into their own hands like what happened last week. He's saying as the government and as the army, we need to go in and we need to put a stop to this. If needs be, we need to evacuate the town and make it safe for Jews to travel, for everybody to travel through that town without fear of being killed and without the possibility of being killed. So after he made this statement, the U.S. ambassador, Thomas Nides, said something that I was shocked when I read it. There's a lot of crazy things that come out of the Biden administration today, especially the State Department. I know not just in regards to Israel, with our own country, with America as well, but especially in regards to relationship with Israel. But this really threw me off and really kind of shocked me what he said. He said, Thomas Nides said, quote, I am really angry with him, talking about Smotrich. He's a fool. He has a flight to Washington, and if I could, I would throw him off the plane. But Thomas Nides here saying that he wants to throw Smotrich off the plane. Very crazy statement. I mean, if you just look at that, that's a threat, right, to the finance minister of Israel. I don't necessarily believe that he meant what he said there. He was, again, saying this crazy thing to say, but I just want to look at the difference of response between Smotrich, the finance minister, and Thomas Nides. So Thomas Nides, after Smotrich made that comment, Thomas Nides immediately tears into Smotrich for saying this, and also makes his statement about wanting to throw him off the plane and bar him from entering Washington, maybe revoking his visa, all that kind of stuff. So that's Thomas Nides' response to Smotrich instead of giving him the benefit of the doubt. The opposite occurs when Thomas Nides makes that statement against Smotrich, and Smotrich's response to Thomas Nides after that statement was immediately to give him the benefit of the doubt. Smotrich, in response to this crazy statement from Thomas Nides, said, quote, I am not angry at U.S. Ambassador to Israel Tom Nides, and I am convinced that he did not intend to incite to kill me when he said that they need to throw me off the plane. Just like I didn't mean to harm innocent civilians when I said that we need to wipe out Hawara. So this is basically the difference of responses, what we're dealing with. Smotrich, you can just from that interchange, from that, what you could say, the response to both these statements that were, I would say, misspoken and misinterpreted, definitely misinterpreted, but Smotrich's response really kind of shows what kind of man he is, maybe in contrast to the U.S. ambassador to Israel, Thomas Nides. So that was Thomas Nides' response, and kind of has been the response of the entire Biden administration throughout this whole fiasco of the last week with these horrible terror attacks, and then the riots by the Jewish settlers down in Hawara, which we made a video about that. It's not what the media is telling you. Definitely tons of exaggeration going on. Everybody's been saying this is a pogrom. Guys, I just want to tell you this is not a pogrom. You need to look up the definition of pogrom. This is nowhere comes close to what a pogrom is, and the Jews know what pogroms are. Just look back in history. Definitely know what these are. But I also want to talk about that the U.S. has been treating Israel just throughout this whole thing, and really unfortunately, since Biden came in office, has been treating Israel very, very badly, I could say. The U.S. administration has not, and something nobody actually has been talking about, and I realize that the U.S. administration has not, as far as I can tell, and if I'm wrong, if you can find somewhere that they've called, it's certainly not in any of the media, they have not called on the Palestinian Authority, who is over these people, who is supposed to be governing these people. They have not called on them to condemn the murder of the innocent brothers, and also of Ilan Ganelez in the Jordan Valley. Nobody has been calling for them to condemn this attack. They have not come out and condemned this attack. Meanwhile, everybody, the entire international community, including the United States, including the European Union, including the UN, they've all been calling on Israel to condemn the quote-unquote settler violence. And yes, they already did that. And those who committed crimes in that incident are being prosecuted and will be brought to justice, those Jewish settlers. Yes, that is the case. This is how justice works here in the land of Israel. But nobody has been calling on the PA to condemn this terror. Is this a double standard? Is this treating your allies the way that your allies should be treated? I think not. The State Department went so far as to call Smotrichs' remarks, what he made, and everybody misinterpreted because they always jump the gun and they always assume the worst when it comes to Israel's right-wing leaders. The State Department called his remarks irresponsible, repugnant, and disgusting. I'm sorry, this kind of disgusts me, just hearing this contemptuous treatment of Israel by the U.S. administration. And I just want to bring up another thing. The United States has been incessantly calling on Israel to use restraint when it comes to dealing with the Palestinian terror, dealing with going into these Palestinian hotbeds, these cities to take out and to arrest these terrorists. They've been calling on Israel to use restraint. I'm sorry, but just put aside everything political right now. Since when do you use restraint with terrorists and with terrorism? I have a question. Did the United States President Bush, did he call for restraint after the 9/11 terror attacks in the United States? Did he call that, oh, we need to use restraint on these terrorists? Absolutely not. And no, the people of America would not have put up with that. And no, the people of Israel are not putting up with the international community calling on the government of Israel to use restraint in dealing with terrorism. Guys, this is not political. What I'm saying is not political. This is common sense. You cannot be calling on the government of Israel to use restraint when they're dealing with a terrorist regime, when they're dealing with people going out and murdering innocent Jewish civilians. One of the best ways for Bible-believing, Israel-loving Christians to support Israel right now is to come to Israel's biblical heartland this spring to help us plant thousands of trees. That's right, April 17th through May 1st, we have a tree planting volunteer program that we are hosting, and we need your help. You can do your part to restore Israel's desolate and barren landscape by coming and putting your hands in the soil through our tree planting volunteer program. You'll play a critical role in the restoration of Israel and fulfill biblical prophecy through putting trees in the ground. Through this, you'll see Israel's forest come back to life. If you love God and Israel and are looking for a meaningful experience, look no further. Go to serveisrael.com/volunteer or click the link in the description below to find out how you can join a tree planting volunteer program in Israel this spring. Don't wait, because time is running out to sign up. If you're ready for a life-changing volunteer experience in the land of Israel, go to serveisrael.com/volunteer or click the link in the description below to sign up. Guys, the last thing I want to talk about is this crazy incident that happened on Saturday, and this is very different. You could call it a traffic accident terror attack. So let me just tell you what happened. Early Saturday morning, an Israeli mother, Edith Lavi, and her young daughter were traveling home from the hospital where her young daughter, I believe she was 2 years old, was getting stitches at the hospital. She had a head-on collision with a Palestinian driver. Now, let me tell you from the mother's own account what happened in this accident, quote-unquote accident, right? The mother said, quote, "On Saturday morning on the way home at 6:45, a little past Ofra, a car going the other direction entered my lane. The driver was looking at me. I swerved into his lane and he swerved back into his lane. I went back to my lane and then he rammed into me head on. He didn't hesitate. He had a very clear goal, and immediately after the vehicle stopped, rolling over, Arabs surrounded him and told him, 'Well done, well done.' I was sure they were going to finish the job and lynch me. I called the EMS hysterically. I said there was an accident and they're going to kill me. Come quickly." And then she goes on and says, "Thankfully, 3 vehicles behind me, there was an ambulance that saw the accident and arrived quickly and helped us." So this crazy incident, this mother was driving home. This Arab car swerves into her lane. She tries to swerve back and swerve out of the way. He's following her. Like they're doing this dance here. She's trying to get away. He's trying intentionally to hit her, rams straight into her. And then the crazy part is that wasn't just this freak guy that is trying, this terrorist that is trying to kill people. There's also all the drivers around were supporting what he was trying to do. She's talking about all the Arab drivers came up, rolled up alongside her. The Arab car at that point, the guy who hit her was upside down or on its side. It rolled a couple times. All the Arab guys come up and say in Hebrew, not in Arabic, they say kol hakavod, which is well done. saying to the driver, this terrorist driver who's trying to kill this mother and her child. You know what happened in this incident is actually the driver of that vehicle was killed. The daughter, the 2-year-old daughter, is in critical condition. We need to continue to pray for her complete recovery. She has spinal and head injuries. The mother, I think, was only lightly injured. But this is a crazy reality that when stuff like this happens, there's a lot of support coming from the average Palestinians who are standing around and witnessing things like this happen. Guys, we cannot stand for this to happen. We need to call on our government to condemn these terror attacks, to condemn the Palestinian Authority for not condemning the terror attacks, calling on Israel, supporting Israel, giving Israel 100% support to do what they need to do to put down this terrorism and to stop these horrific attacks. Guys, tell us what you think in the comments below. And as always, tune out the fake news and tune into what is actually happening here in the land of Israel. We'll be back Monday through Friday with your direct connection to the land and people of Israel.